Hello friends, my name is Alex, greeting to you from Moscow. In my video I show that the tourists can see in Moscow. We visited the Kremlin, monasteries and churches. I think you have them tired. Today in Moscow some warmer, frosts are gone under my feet of a mix of water, snow and salt. And we are going to look very interesting object of the Stalin era. An underground bunker which is located in the center of Moscow near the Kremlin and near the Taganka. The command post is located at a depth of 65 meters inside the Tagansky hill. Let's go, come on, поехали! A normal mansion in the center of Moscow is the entrance to the bunker 42. It's like a time machine, takes us back 50 years, when it was a secret facility and now here is a museum, a Cold War. This led to a tour group of students as well as people who are interested in the Soviet era. Bunker is a system of four-cast iron tunnels, laid of about half kilometer each, are located at a depth of 65 meters under the ground. They are connected by passages and have two outputs to Taganskaya Ring and Taganskaya Radial metro station and several exits to the surface. The tour begins with one of these vistas with a long descent on a very narrow flight of stairs 19 floors underground. Attention tourists, ascent also have to walk. Be prepared for this. By a narrow underground passage we come to the starting point of our tour. There was a checkpoint. Outsiders could not come here. During the 30 years from 1956 to 1986, the bunker was used as a secure command post long-range strategic aviation, with heavy bombers which can carry nuclear warheads. Due to its properties, the hoppers is completely protected from the direct heat of a nuclear charge, average power up to 100 kilotons. The guide explains that the control equipment and the communication equipment was installed in the team complex, capable of flying to control long-range aviation and support the livelihoods of 300 services specialists in the period of 1 month. Moscow subway depth foundation played a role not only transport artery for the city but also the air raid shelters. It is said that many governments institutions were protected such that the control points. According to unconfirmed reports, the total number was more than 40. and the line of the Moscow subway could be used as a communication system between them. Now open to the public only 3 such objects. We are in one of them. Now we are in the hall of officers' meetings. In this room we show a film about the development of nuclear weapons and of a missile crisis of 1962. After watching the film, we go to the other room. During the transition, it is possible to take a closer look at the construction of tunnels. Built them the same workers who built the Moscow subway. They often had no idea where would be to go train with the Muscovites, or they will bear some other functions. We find ourselves in a room which is decorated in the style of the Stalin era. Hopper began as a personal bomb shelter built for Stalin, but it was completed only after his death. Here we see the typical furniture of that era: a heavy oak table with a typical lamp, followed by a wax figure of Stalin, Lenin's portrait on it. To the right, a historical photo with the Yalta Conference of 1945, where represented Stalin, Roosevelt and Churchill. A sofa saying that Stalin often rested directly in his office. A table on which chess and bookcase with the works of Lenin. When they get into the room where the meeting took command structure long-range aviation. Here we see a long table with rows of chairs near him. On the table are the model of heavy bombers that could take on board a nuclear weapon. Many of them today are on combat duty. Among them the supersonic Tu-160 having NATO classification Blackjack, while in Russia called White Swan, as well as the legendary bomber Tu-95, more than half a century standing on the arms, a NATO name Bear. Clearly visible iron structure of a tunnel bolting. This is a day room for duty officers. This command post was the only time given in the regime of complete autonomy and fully operational in the autumn of 1962 during the Cuban Missile Crisis. During the 10 days he has working offline. There were combat control officers and commanders of long-range aviation. We go forward in the bunker. The museum is very well recreates the atmosphere of second half of 20th century on the walls of the characteristic sites and inscriptions. Now we are entering the command and control room. Previously there were command and control duty officers and support staff. Now here we can see the layout of the first nuclear bomb, as well as control panels launching ballistic missiles, a tablet which marked the patch of movement of air targets. In those days they were drawing with chalk on a glass plate with a contour map of a world. Here we see a large overview map of the Northern Hemisphere. Which Wisconsin's launch of ballistic missiles, land-based missiles, can be carried out. The trigger cannot be done by one officer in command and control. Concerted actions of two people. Overview map of the Northern Hemisphere gives a picture of the location of mine nuclear weapons. On the walls, huge photos of long-range bombers. On the table are installed models of ballistic missiles. Here, among the sightseers, invited two young people who will simulate the launch of intercontinental missiles. Of course, all this is nothing more than a museum installation. Here in the Long-Range Aviation Control Center has never been management intercontinental missiles. This is a completely different kinds of troops. However, for the story of a stress state in the Cold War, this installation is of interest. All this is done with a purpose. What difficult decisions had to be taken of their grandfathers. Next we come to the promises of large communication center. Unfortunately, we are not allowed to shoot, but no really secret equipment is not here. In this room there is communication equipment 30 years ago. Here we see the figure of sinker builder on the background of the trolley. About the Moscow subway I plan to make a separate story. Today it is the most powerful in the world of transport structure, which carries a single day about 9 million passengers. The Moscow metro is very different, for example, from the subway in New York or Madrid or Berlin. At great depth are built those underground palaces. A tourist who arrived in Moscow have to see them. Then the first branch, which was started in 1935, copied the Berliner format. Was a shallow foundation. He constructed an open way. That almost all of the following lines were built in the period before World War II, during and immediately after, and bore the brand on the function of a very serious bomb shelters. There is a legend that in parallel with the construction of the subway as the transport system and built the so-called underground too, the system of government bunkers and protected command posts. However, my story is only about the places in Moscow which can visit tourists, and let's reveal the secrets who have seekers of mysteries. Thank you very much for your viewing. Please the thumb up, subscribe to my channel and share with your friends. Bye!